Salutations, prop makers of the world. Well, this time we are working on a little bit of a different project, and I'm going to be best describing it as I can. This is a Necron Rifle. Whoops, there we go. From the Warhammer 40k universe. I built this thing 10 years ago. Well, I started it 10 years ago, and then I managed to just finish it this week. All for you. Don't you feel special and happy? I'm just going to move the camera just a tiny bit so you can see. There we go. So this rifle here is a sum of many hours of work, and I figured I'd go over what it is. You'll see in the video we're pretty much taking it from a mostly finished state to the point where we're going to be painting it. I just want to go over a few ways that I built this thing, just so you have an idea of what I used and what I went with and why it looks the way it does. Now, this is mainly built out of spruce and MDF, so I'm going to use both my pointy finger and my non-pointy finger. Well, actually, technically, both my pointy fingers. So I'll go over what I put it together with, so you know how I went about it. So from the handle all the way up through the center, down, and then onto this part here, this is all a single piece of spruce because of the nature of what it is. It's a lot of weight. This thing weighs about 25 to 30 pounds when it's all done here. And mainly it's partly because I used a lot of heavy woods. I didn't do it out of like foams and the such. And this is MDF, just this plate here. These plates up here are 3/4 inch MDF. You can see the MDF here. Now there's 2 plates of MDF in here cut into circle. And then these 2 are 2x6. And you can see a slight crack that formed when I was working on. I'm not sure why it decided to do that, but hey, not the end of the world. Come over here to MDF. Down here, this is spruce again. And this here are dollar store bottles. Well, not bottles, they're dollar store cups that had watermelons on them, and I spent forever scrubbing them off. And in the middle is a dollar store whistle thingy you spin. Woo, yeah, anyways. The rest of it is all MDF and spruce, depending on what I was working on. This is spruce here, these forward tines. So, anyways, we're not going to be going over the entire building of this today, just because the nature of where I started and how I finished it. What we're going to be going over today is painting techniques, finishing techniques, and everything like that. Oh, and one more thing, that was done with my mold sculpting, as this was done with my mold sculpting, which is another video which you can check out on my channel. Anyways, if you have any questions about how this thing was actually built, I'm probably in the summer going to be doing more videos of it being built, like of props coming from very base, but right now my garage is cold and I'm a wimp. Anyways, enjoy the video. I hope you enjoy this Necron Rifle build. Well, this Necron Rifle finish. I love this thing. I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with it now. But anyways, enjoy the video. Well, here we go. This is what 10 years of dust does to a prop sitting on my garage wall. And you can see that there's lots unfinished. I'm actually missing one of these. It's got missing somewhere. I've got to polish off these to get rid of the watermelons off the glass. And that's hard work. I need a magic eraser to do it. But the rest of it I'm going to go through. I just wanted to show you as it looks right now so you know where I'm going to be taking it to. This was started 10 years ago and we're going to be finishing it this week. So next time you're going to see this, it's going to be cleaned up and we're going to start going through and doing some of the finishing work on it. Welcome back to the Gong Show. Anyways, today we're going to be going over what I have done, what I'm going to be doing, and how I can screw it up royally while doing this on camera. I had started with these because these are the fins that go into the back. Oh, there's my head. These are the fins that go into there, and they all mesh over top of each other like this, over and over and over again. So I've got to go through, and I already did. I went and did these, and you can see that the base was painted by my darling daughter. Thank you very much. And then I went through and I was dry brushing these to get them the way that I wanted it. But when I did it, I didn't like how it looked. So what do you do in this situation? That's right. You go try finding your airbrush in your garage, which I haven't used for like 10 years because I don't usually do big items like this. I usually do smaller stuff. But I realized that I have to get into doing it. So what ended up happening is I went and found, believe it or not, my airbrush I found, the needle was bent, so it was junk, and it was a mess. It was shameful. Anyways, so I went and found, believe it or not, in my town here, I managed to find a used airbrush, which is currently sitting right there. Beautiful, awesome deal. It's fantastic. Anyways, it was a big rigmarole to make it all work, and I did it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go through and I'm going to not dry brush. I had initially dry brushed this, and it did not look very good. And you can see now that it's all black because there was spots I needed to touch up, and since I needed to touch it up, the way that it looked horrible otherwise. So now I have to go through. I've not completely decided how I'm finishing this thing yet. These need to be varathaned, so that is going to be done outside of the camera, and then I'm going to do this. I'm going to airbrush this to get it all nice and silver, and then we're going to start going over aging like I did on the last video, and going to try getting this thing finished for a video this week, which if you watch this week, which happens to be February something, because I don't remember at this point, we're going to take it from there and be so happy about it if it works. Anyways, I may or may not record me airbrushing this thing because I may foul it up so royally that I don't want the world to see my incompetence. Anyways, onward to the silence or the cut video, depending on how this goes. Okay, we return, and it went actually pretty well. My paint wasn't thin enough, so I ended up cutting the video. So I have to go back, and I have to do this. I've got to do a second coat, but oh, it's gonna fall. Anyways, I wanted to make sure that I didn't put too much on here. I want it to look, I want the black to show through a bit. I ended up with a little bit of a problem up on the barrel, which I've got to fix when I go through and do it again. But you know what, for not having to screw around with the airbrushing too much lately, for a long time, I'm really happy with the results. Anyways, I'll be back once I put the second coat on this. Clean up the spots that I don't like particularly, but you can already see how this is looking way better than it did before. And then we're going to start going through and talking about aging on this, and finishing up the fins, getting the barrel done, which the barrel, where is it here? Okay, this is the barrel. Now what this is dollar store cups. You get a theme that I like to use dollar store things. And what I've done is I've cut a hole down the center because there's going to be a green pipe that gets inserted. But you see those watermelons right there? I've tried everything to get those watermelons off these cups. In the end, what does it take? It takes a magic eraser, which is I think a melamine sponge. And I have to scrub for like 15 minutes per cup to get these off, because you can see those ones are clear. It does scratch up the cup just a little bit, but it's not enough to matter. So I'm going to be doing that off camera because you don't need to see me. Yeah, you don't. And then we're going to do one more coat of dry brushing. Not dry brushing. We're going to be doing the airbrushing. Good gosh. And then we're going to do some aging and some dry brushing on it after the fact, darkening up some of the areas that I want to be darker. I could have not sprayed like right along there. I could have left that black, but I wanted to have a really good base because I don't want to have to keep on taking out my airbrush and re-cleaning it. This is actually really close to where I want it. I've just got a few spots that I want to clean up with the airbrush on the second pass. I'm letting this fully dry to make sure that when I do it, it will be my final pass. I'm going to go through once it's dry, figure out what I missed and what I have to still do. Then we get to go through and start putting this thing back together again after we age it. Getting the barrel on. I still have not completely decided how I'm attaching that to that, which is such a great reminder because I totally forgot I had this, and I have to paint this as well. So next dry brush run, or next airbrush run, I'm going to put that there so I don't forget it. Got to paint that, do this, anyways, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, we'll get this done. I'll see you in a bit, and then we'll go over a bit more what else we have to do on this. Okay, well, I'm now into the thick of it. I'm quickly going through and finishing parts which were never done on the original one. These are to the two top guides for the top of the gun. This is the new bottom section that I decided to put in, which was never intended. This was my side piece, which I notched out so it fits in just a little bit better. And then I did a bit more sanding on it, so I'm going to be putting that going to get all these painted black. And here is the other side that I actually ended up losing, made out of just, I think that's 3/4 inch MDF. So once I'm going to go paint these black, then I'm going to silver airbrush them, then I'm going to go over and how I get these things inserted into the final. I'm going to go get the fins, which are here. Oh, gotta pull one out of the rifle. These fins, I'm going to go varathane them to get them ready. And what is fantastic is I just lost my microphone. What's fantastic is I've almost got all of these done. I'm going to have them finished. And we will probably be on to final assembly here pretty quick. I got a few more little things to do, but I'm literally running at the seat of my pants at this point because there's so many things on this rifle that needs to get done. Anyways, I will record again when I get to the point where we're going to be doing more fancy stuff. And good morning, welcome back, and holy man, if I ever suggest doing a big prop like this again for a weekly video, just remind me that it is borderline insanity. I've been working flat out on this thing on all the time that I have between my normal responsibilities to get this thing finished and ready, and here it is. I'm recording the last part before I edit it and put it online, hopefully today, which if you watch this later will make absolutely no sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through. The aging on this one is not your typical aging that you would do on another prop altogether. So what I found is a really cool trick with melamine sponge. These are magic erasers, and you can use any sponge you want, but what I really like about these ones specifically is that the grain on them is very fine. So I'm just going to dip. I should have done the other edge, but that's okay. I'm going to rub off most of that. So you just get a black run on it, and then what you do is you just very gently tap these leading edges. And what it does is it gives it really neat aging. It's almost got too much on it, so I'll just get rid of that and rub it off. And you'll see that this is not the final destination we have here, where I go through after with the airbrush and I actually mellow this out a bit. I'm being a bit too hard, but you know what? It's not viciously bad. You just got to be very gentle on your touch to get just a little bit of paint on to accentuate those edges. And if you don't get it exactly right, don't beat yourself up. As you've heard, I'm going to make that the motto of my channel is don't beat yourself up over the small stuff. Well, actually, that could be just a motto for life, couldn't it? Okay, and now I'm just going to go through, do all this, and I'm almost done. So I'm not going to have to actually do the montage where I speed it up and make it sound so exciting. I can just do this and be almost finished in very short time. Now, you can age this. This is more of a technological item, so it's up to you how much or how little you want to age it. I kind of take a middle ground. I do a little bit of aging on these, but not very much at all. I run almost a completely dry brush, and then I'm just hitting in some of the feature areas where, like I did with the other rifle, just gives it a bit of shadow. There we go. And you don't need a lot, and if you do, when you go to do your final, if you do screw up and you put too much black on, then you can come back. Anyways, just so before I forget, this is a stiff bristle brush. I use an old one that is, as cheap can be. That way I can beat the absolute crap out of it. To put in no fine point. And when I do the dry brushing, I run almost completely dry because I really like to really push hard. And just 1 second. Okay, sorry for that interruption. My very patient daughter is on the iPad with their headphones on, except she didn't realize she didn't plug in the headphones, so I was getting a little bit of music in the background, which we didn't want. So, There we go. I'm just going to, what I was saying before is just, you want this brush to be almost completely dry because I want to add a bit of black, but oh, so little. And once you use up the most of it on the top, as you push harder and harder and harder, you'll get less and less black paint. But what's nice is it ends up giving it a gradient, which I really like how it looks. So you can start at the bottom, you go really hard, and then the harder you push the brush, the more you have to convince it to give up the, well, that almost had not enough paint on it to begin with. So you start off, you get quite a bit of paint, and then as you go up, you have to push harder and harder on this brush. It screams in agony as it dies in a horrible painter's death, but you get the desired effect you're looking for, which is a nice dropped shadow. Well, I call it a drop shadow because, well, I'm actually a graphic designer, and this stuff is all, you know, fun stuff for me. But on that note, I am not perfect at this stuff. There are so many techniques I watch other designer or other prop makers do, and I'm like, holy crap, they're there. Some of them are just amazing, but they do things different than I would. So that's why you get to listen to me. There we go. I'm just going to put a bit of shadow here, not a lot. And yeah, you'll see what I'm going to do after I get the... So you can see here, just a nice amount of shadowing is where I want to go. I don't want to go... Oh, I had a black spot there. You can see I hit that corner too much. So I don't want to hit it too badly. And lucky for me, and what's kind of funny is the other side is all finished already. Because whenever I do these videos, I always test my techniques because, you know, some of the stuff I have not done before. And I only have 2 shots. I have one side, which you don't get to see. I get to pull the Martha Stewart on you and, you know, flip it over and go, look, it's all done. I've cooked it and it's all finished. Wait a second, cooked it? That's not how it works. So, here we go. Oh, it's too much black. Way too much black. But I'll manage, and I'll just call that a happy little accident. Now we're gonna go here, and oh, look at that, I can use my base here. Okay. Now I want to say I'm on the home run here because I'm trying to convince myself that I am actually on the home run here because, like I said, I have all for you guys worked hard to get this thing ready this week, and I have to dedicate this. I'll do that later on. I'm going to dedicate this video to my wife, who's put up with a freaking Necron Rifle being on a kitchen table with a tarp over top of it to protect it all week while I have not put it away, because taking things out and putting it back away is just one of those things. And what really sucks is what I should do is I should get off my cheap button, go buy myself a light that I can use to record during the evenings, because right now I use natural light for the most part because I like the way it looks and makes everything appear. But due to my scheduling and all that, it's a bit darker there. I'm going to have to fix that after. I'm just going to rub that in for now. There we go. And that's another quick technique is you can, before the paint dries, you can use your finger and just rub it, and it'll blend it in if you have too many lines. So I'm just going to hit that there. And as you see, I keep on hitting the seams because, once again, that's where the muck will build up. And with a newer item, you don't want to be too mucky. You want it to make it look like it has some character, but not so much that it looks like it is ugly. So I will go down and do the barrel after, which is... I think you can see it there. Let's have a look. No, you still can't see it. Okay. This is the other problem with this darn thing. It's so big. I'll do this part here after because you don't need to see me do it. You get the idea of what I did on the other end there. So once you're all finished, okay, we're going to flip this sucker around, take out 3 lights, 1 gopher, and a pigeon. I'm going to bring this down here. Now, hopefully that's inside and seen. Perfect. So you can see very much what I did before, but what I did is after it was all down, I reprimed my airbrush with just some silver again, and I went over the areas that I aged with the airbrush just to soften them up. Is there a better technique that you could do, like with a lighter paint? Yes, but I like the look of the black being recovered with the silver. It just really lends, and you can probably see that here, it really lends it to a really nice patina on the actual weapon. Now, this will be ready for varathaning, because I'm going to varathane it before I do the final assembly, which we will go through together because it's fun and it's always exciting to see a prop come together. So last night I sculpted this Necron symbol, and I went and in a rush pulled some molds for it, which didn't turn out as well as I hoped it would, but it looks okay. So that is actually going to be going there. Oh, let me twist this so you can see it on the camera. That is going to be going there on this side. And then I built this little guy. Hopefully you can see it here. Yeah. And it's going to go right here. And that's the only two details I'm doing, because then whenever you see a Necron rifle, it's kind of like the ultimate simple implement of death. It has no real features, no real anything other than it's a machine. I'm putting this on because I can, and I will. And it looks neat. You know, it gives just that little tiny bit of, it gives it at least 2 pieces of flair. And, you know, in reality, 7 pieces of flair is usually the minimum. But I decided today I'm only going to go do 2 pieces of flair. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to finish up the second side, darkening it up, and then airbrushing it because you don't need to see that part. And then I'll be back for final assembly after the varathane dries. So catch you then, guys, and we're on the home run. Well, here we are, and here we go. So I managed to get this completely finished now, and you can see this is just a summer kid's toy. I don't know what the whistle when you spin them. Anyways, what I did is I ran it down the center of 7 dollar store clear plastic cups. And if I ever decide to do this again, I'm going to find ones that didn't have watermelons on them, because that was some seriously hard work. So you can see what I did is I cut a hole down the center of each one of them using a Forstner bit. That was very fun because it doesn't like it. And then what I'm going to do is, you see here, this is the bracket that it fits into. And this outer radius here fits perfectly to the inside radius of the cup. This little guy here, just styrofoam held in with a drywall screw, this just centers it on that end over there. So when the green hose connects to it, it just looks straight. This is going to be glued now to that right there. I'm going to put some glue on it, but I got to be careful because of just how tight this is when it goes in. So let's put it together. Now, Mr. Glue, cooperate for the camera. Okay, you'll notice that I put the glue low because when this goes in, it's going to stretch it downwards, and I don't want it to hit the stuff that I'm done. So now, up here, I put in a hard point that goes inside of here and just makes it so this fits in beautifully like so to hold it in place. This end simply goes over and in like this, and then the whole thing slides up into there and then fits almost with friction down into here. So I don't need a lot of glue, but I need enough to have it set so it looks good. Just like that, the barrel's in. So now we go straight from that. Hopefully I can do this in one smooth action. I'm going to move this to here so we can see it on the camera. And it almost fell over, but it didn't. Stay. Said stay. Oh, look at that. It wants to kind of listen. No, it's awesome angled for the camera. Just 1 second. I'm going to put down the microphone for 1 moment as I go over to here. and grab all of these. So these are the fins for the outside. Now, what I'm going to do here is these don't need a lot of glue. So there's 11, 10, there's my 1. So the way I've built this thing is these all slide into here relatively easy and relatively quickly. So they don't need a lot of glue. So I'm just going to fight my glue again and continue to fight my glue. There we go. I'm going to, man, I got to clean out the cap on this. I'm going to run a bead just down the inside of this, because what's going to happen now is this is going to connect with the glue on the bottom here, and it's going to stick like anything. It doesn't need a lot of convincing to stay in there in the first place, so this really is secondary. So now I pretty much just put them in exactly as they appear here. So there is 2B, and I just do it this way because when I cut them on the, oh, look at that, a little bit of varnish got in there, and it's made it very difficult to push them in. There's 3B, make sure that, yep, and now we just keep on going with the letters to the outside. You can see just how many pieces goes into putting this together. 6B, 7B, 8B, I think it's there, 9B, and you can see just how much work there was involved in making all of these fins. It did. It took a serious amount of time. And then 11B goes this way, slides in there beautifully like that, and finishes it up all snug as a bug in a rug, just like that. You know what? I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue here, if my glue cooperates. There we go. Slide that into place, push it in, and just like that, you can see the main fins are all done. So this really goes quickly once we hit this stage. You know, if the gun wants to cooperate and not fall over. And I just pushed my barrel off its glue, so that is always makes me happy. Okay, so, and I didn't put my microphone back on, so that audio might be a little bit off. Sorry about that. So now we grab the final parts here that I'm going to be putting in all at the same time. These ones, I'm just going to, I was tempted to go in the garage, grab my air nailer and tack these, but they're pretty friction fitty, and I don't want to mess around with them too much. I think I'll put a little tiny bit of glue on them regardless, because I don't want them to shift too much, but they don't have a lot of, you know, load bearing that I have to fight with. You know, it helps reopening my glue bottle. There we go. Put just a little tiny bit of glue on each one. There we go. And still, I got some glue up there. Should be okay though. There we go. It doesn't need a lot because it's not holding anything. I just want it to go there so it doesn't lose itself. I'm just going to move those to about the same place. And just like that. That is... Oh, you're crooked. That's what's going on there. Okay, there we go. As you see, this is an exacting art, but it's close enough. This one, I can almost friction fit again, but I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the leading edge of each one of these. Man, do I need to clean this glue. It's fighting me. I'm going to put a little bit on this one, a little bit on this one. There we go. Now this is going to make a clunk, because when these go in, they go in hard. Or they'll go in beautifully smooth and make me into a liar. There we go. That's going to glue up beautifully there. The other side, one of these sides was stiff. I think it's this side over here. No, it's not going to be stiff this time. It's just going to be gentle and nice. There we go. Okay. That gets the main cage of this thing all done. We've got my two little fun elements here. Don't want a ton of glue on these because I may change them later on. Okay. Oh, that does not have enough glue on it. There we go. This glue is also old, so it's not helping a heck of a lot. Okay. There we go. And this little element right here, you can see I painted it with some red and green lines on it. Looks kind of cool. I'm gonna take that and swing this through and put it right, oh, I actually wanted the red further away. I wanted to put this right here. Does it show up on the original Necron rifle? No. But I thought it looked cool, so it's going on, just to give it that extra little tiny bit of detail that wasn't on before. Now, the final step is to grab my hoses, which I've got out in the garage drying, because I put a little bit of dry brushing on them. My symbol here is being a bit slidey, but that's okay, because I did just glue it. I might touch these up with a little bit of black after I'm done, but this is the main assembly completed. And holy crap, has it taken a lot to get to this point this week. So I'm going to go get the hoses, I'm going to attach them, and then I'm going to do an intro explaining what's going on with this thing, because it's not my typical prop build. We kind of jumped into the middle of this. And I want to make sure that everybody knows that this isn't completely to build a Necron rifle. This is kind of just ideas and how to finish the stuff like this. But anyways, we're going to leave off here. We're kind of done. Thanks so much for hanging out with this absolutely scatterbrained version of this rifle. Hopefully we're able to follow, and hopefully by the time I get to editing, this is actually going to be somewhat cohesive, so it's not just a jumble of madness, which is kind of what I do. So I'm going to do one more explanation that you'll have seen at the beginning of the video on this. But anyways, thanks so much for hanging out. If you made it this far in the video, I'm impressed. And look forward to my next video next week. I have no idea what I'm doing yet, so if you have ideas, throw them in the comments and I will look at them and see what I can get into, but it will not be something as big as this for this week. This was intense to get ready and finished, especially given the time that I normally have to do this stuff. Anyways, have a good one.